later to be giving more details of his plans for national security, including a series of measures to reduce the levels of illegal immigration into the United States. The centrepiece of that policy during his election campaign was the promise to build a 2,000-mile wall along the Mexican border. But just how practical a plan is that, and could it actually work? Well, Ian McIver is director at Sutcliffe Structural Engineers in Liverpool. So, could a wall that length, is it possible?
It's possible. Anything's possible, but there are certain logistical, economic and other problems involved which make it very, very difficult.
Right, so Donald Trump rings you up tonight and says, right, go to Mexico, tell me how much this is going to be and what the difficulties are. What are you going to be looking at?
It's such a huge length over completely different terrain. You've got mountainous areas, you've got natural boundaries, you've got desert, you've got rivers, you've got land which is occupied and owned by other people. So the problems are so wide and varied, you really would have to split it up into several bite-sized pieces, really.
And how long could each bite-sized piece look after?
Well, the total length, as far as I understand, is around about 2,000 miles. I think there already exists a barrier for a proportion of that. So let's say 1,000 miles. You'd have to split that up into 50 or 60 discrete bite-sized pieces and treat each one as a separate project.
So say Donald Trump shared your concerns but said, look, give me a realistic quote. What would it be?
Price-wise, I would look at something in the region of $20–25 billion.
Now, all right, how have you worked that one out? You can't just give him that figure.
I came prepared. I did some very rough back-of-fact packet calculations early on today when I knew I was coming along. Mr. Trump has said that he'd like a wall 30 feet, that's 10 metres in our language, high, which is a significant height. So we know that the concrete would be around about 500 millimetres, half a metre thick. We know it will have a substantial base. We know how much concrete costs. We can cube that up. Add some other costs for transporting and placing and maintenance, etc. So around about 20–25 billion, which, as you'll appreciate, is a lot of money.
Yeah, but sounds like a good price. In terms of when you talk about transport, I mean, you're going to have to build roads just to get to some of these areas, aren't you?
Indeed, not only just to get to them, but to maintain them as well. I mean, I see little point in building a wall if you're not going to permanently man it, but at least put some CCTV cameras up. A wall, as we found out in Berlin in the 60s, you build a wall and people will always want to try and go through it, under it, over it. No matter how high or how wide it is, people will always try and beat it. So you will have to man it. You'll have to provide roads, you'll have to provide welfare, living quarters for people, lights, and everything that goes with it, really. It's a huge, huge undertaking. It's not just the capital cost of the billions of dollars that we've talked about, it's the on-costs of year after year after year, the maintenance of such a wall.
Ian, I've got a second quote here. I mean, is that really your best price?
Yeah. Given the nature of the client, I think I'm going to hedge my bets.
Yeah, you don't need a wall, you've got a fence. Ian, thank you very much. Ian McIver, good to talk to you, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's perhaps the most illuminating interview of the day. Fantastic. Simon drives a hard bargain with his building quotes. Now, let's move on. She is the editor who persuaded